Welcome to Beacon of Speech 2.0. Hi, Ted Coley.
Hey, long time.
Yeah, here's what happened. We run our systems on a MacBook Pro. We are getting up to the edge of our usage limits.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So what happened is every once in a while you'll see me look at the camera just to make sure things are still recording, right? Still working. I saw it freeze, and then I said, uh-oh, and then it just dumped. So we had to turn it back on, and it says, your MacBook Pro quit unexpectedly, right? And see, it just froze again.
Yeah,
so I don't know if we're going to have that problem. So we're going to keep an eye on this, see if it lasts, or if we're going to have to cut this short, and if we're just going to glitch all the way through. So we were done talking about bands. You were done talking about that. Yeah, you're out of luck anyhow. We want to talk about chokers in the NFL. That was our next thing on the outline.
Yeah.
Why did we bring up chokers? Ted Coley said last weekend of playoff football, the Kansas City Chiefs seem to be choking a lot. Is that true?
Yeah.
And
the past 25 years off and on?
And they had Andy Reid as their coach, who when he was with the Eagles, they would make it all the way to the NFC East championship game, but never made it to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So a choker, define choker. A choker is somebody who is good. You know, chokers are not like the Browns. They're in last. They just suck.
They're jokers.
Yeah, they're jokers. Big difference between jokers and chokers. Okay,
So Steve Miller's son.
Yeah, exactly. See, we're still talking about bands. Okay, Steve Miller. He's upset that he couldn't get in the that it took us so long to get in the Rock Hall. Okay, but anyhow,
That was another story.
Yeah, that's another story we're not going to talk about. But anyhow, so chokers are specifically very good teams or very good players that choke at the biggest moments, right? And Kansas City, they were the better team last week, and they just pissed that right away. And if you remember, not only does Kansas City have a history of choking, and Andy Reid has a history of choking. Do you remember about 5 years ago, the San Francisco 49ers had a very good quarterback. His name was
Colin Kaepernick.
Before Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, Alex Smith.
Alex Smith. And why did Harbaugh get rid of Alex Smith? Because he was a choker. He was a good quarterback, not
I didn't know that he was a choker. I thought he just was kind of.
They said he was a game manager,
right?
And they needed somebody who was a winner, right? Well, the guy took you to the playoffs. Well, I need somebody to take me to the Super Bowl. Well, Jim Harbaugh was right for 1 year, and then we all know what happened to Colin Kaepernick after that.
Well, they got to the Super Bowl, but they lost.
Yeah. But Kaepernick looked good. I mean, that whole season, he looked good. Harbaugh was right. But Alex Smith still continued to win. Well, Alex Smith is not a joker, right? He's a good quarterback. But once you get to the upper echelons of the NFL, there are certain people, and I think of like Marty Schottenheimer, who can get to here. Okay, I'm going to use my nose. Can get to here, but can't get you here. And in a multi-million-dollar business, and this is what you were talking about, the chokers, what gets you from here to here? And like you said, you know, the Patriots, they get you to here. But how do you get from here to here? That's the hard part for some of these guys. And I think what you're saying is you should have been able to see Kansas City, you know, if you were a smart bettor, because between Andy Reid, Alex Smith, and the Kansas City Chiefs, they have a history of losing big games.
And Kansas City, the Chiefs are a team I would like to see get to the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And I don't disagree. But you wonder what gets you from one level to the next. And, you know, the Marty Schottenheimer analogy, where else did Marty Schottenheimer coach after he left Cleveland?
Kansas City.
Kansas City. Which, again...
San Diego, too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And don't forget, he coached Washington for 1 year, won 8-8, and they said, oh, Marty, you suck, and they fired him. Right? And again, I think the year after they fired, Marty was a very good coach.
Yeah.
But I think there's a line between very good and Hall of Fame. And I think a choker, in your estimation, sometimes they're Hall of Fame players, but a lot of them are just one notch below Hall of Fame. A lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
So what was some of the other chokers you were talking about? Because we were talking about this on the phone.
Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
The Bengals.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bengals, they make it to the playoffs and they go out.
Yeah.
But in their defense, they have been to 2 Super Bowls.
Oh, yeah. But since Marvin Lewis has been there, I think, which goes back to what we were talking about before, I think Marty Schottenheimer, his career record, I don't have it in front of me. I wish we had 2 computers so we could look. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But Marty Schottenheimer was like a winning percentage of .665 or something. You know, he won 2 games for every one he lost, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go to his playoff record, he actually had a losing record in the playoffs. I think Marvin Lewis was 0-5 or something with the Bengals. Every year they go to the playoffs and then they lose in the first round right away. Which again goes back to, well, would you rather be the Browns and be 0-16 or go to the playoffs and lose every year?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would rather go to playoffs every year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And lose because at least you have a chance. But then you come to a point where you have to make the hard decisions. If we stick with this guy, will he take us to the next level? Right? So you thought of the Chiefs, you thought of the Bengals.
Jets,
yes, definitely.
trying to think if there's anybody else. Philadelphia's kind of like that.
Well, that's the thing. Philadelphia this year, they went, what, 11-5, 13-3, something like that?
Yeah, they...
And then, whoop, they're gone. But in their defense, their rookie...
Well, wait a minute. They're still in it, right?
No, they lost.
Philadelphia did?
Yeah. Oh, wait, no. The Rams lost.
The Rams, yeah.
The Rams lost. I don't think of the Rams as chokers because I think of them as vagabonds like the Browns, right? Yeah, you're right.
San Diego might be another choker. You know?
Yeah. Because Ted wanted to talk about chokers in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Cleveland's chokers because they never win.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh's not chokers because they got 5 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And even when they do lose, they still win more than they lose. Mm-hmm. It's got to be perennial good teams. Mm-hmm. You know, Detroit's not...
Oh, wait, I know another one, but I'm afraid to say it because of somebody we know who might be listening.
Oh, no, that's all right. The Vikings! When I lived up in Minnesota, this is one of the most heartbreaking things ever, right? We got NFLopoly right here, okay? When I was living in Minnesota, the Browns had moved, right? And I said, you know what? The Browns are never coming back. They're never going to give a team back to Cleveland. So my new favorite team was the Vikings. And it was 96 or 97. They went 15-1.
Yep.
And they had a straight line to the Super Bowl, right? And they get to the NFC Championship game against, like, the Falcons or something. And their field goal kicker didn't miss a field goal all year. And he missed one in the playoffs, and they ended up losing the game. The only field goal he missed all year kept Minnesota from going to the Super Bowl. And that's what I'm talking about. Minnesota has that same kind of we're good, not great, choking teams. And again, I understand you can't always be the good team. You know, there's a lot of doormat teams and a lot of teams that you wish were better. You know, the Bills, they made it to the playoffs and they lost, right? Bills haven't been to the playoffs in 17 years? I don't think of them as chokers. I think of them as the Browns. Oh, well, we lose and we get the 500 and we're like, oh.
Although they did have that 4 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah. Well, they lost some. And, I mean, some of those were horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost to the Giants by, what, a point or two? On a missed field goal. Scott Norwood, right?
Yep.
And then all the Super Bowls after, it was like 52-10 and 35-12. And,
I think it got worse like every year.
Yeah. So, I don't think you could call that, but I think the maybe chokers back then, but not, not now. But when you say choker, people get offended because they're like, I'm really good. Right? Well, everything's got its levels, from top to bottom. And, maybe we're the Browns of podcasting or webcasting, whatever you want to call it. And maybe one day we will evolve to chokers, where we're so close. We were so close to getting on the plays. We were so close to be correspondents for CNN. Yeah, I wrote to more people this week, and I said, listen, All he needs is a few dollars. And they're like, yeah, you're not, that's like throwing money in the toilet there. So who do you think?
Maybe we should hire a consultant.
Well, that's what we need to do. We need to go. We need to bring a guy in. When I think of places like Cleveland.com or the Plain Dealer, I think of places that are slowly dying, that are like struggling, like like the one company we talk about all the time, who's like, well, we have no vision of the future. We're just going to keep cutting until we don't exist anymore, right? There's a lot of media companies like that. So who's growing? Who can we be who would be a good, like, here's a company. Do you follow Breitbart?
Oh, Breitbart?
Did I mispronounce it? Yeah, I think you're right, Breitbart. Okay. They're growing.
Yeah.
5 years ago, I never heard of them.
Yeah.
Trump gets elected, all of a sudden everybody's talking about them. They're on Drudge Report all the time, right?
Oh, going back to the weather girl, Betsy Kling.
Betsy Kling! Betsy Kling, one episode
that's the way it's getting now.
You're getting old.
Yeah.
It took you a whole episode to remember Betsy Kling. We love Betsy Kling. We have nothing but great things to say about her. Okay? Watch Betsy Kling on Channel 3 News. I'm sorry. Bad. But anyhow,
well, you still didn't know it.
No, I still didn't know it because like I said, I'm off my game. What we need to do is we need
you probably forgot where you were trying to remember.
Yeah.
Like what was I trying to think of?
Here's what we need. We need a camera, okay? And then we need me to have a computer so I can, when I'm trying to rattle things off, like the 4 Super Bowls, the Bills, I can look it up and look like I know off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
I need like an exterior brain. And then I need you to like keep me on my toes. I need you to like throw things at me so I can concentrate on 2 things at once. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I get distracted by the video and I'm like, that's just that I want to make sure that it's still running. Like it stopped working today.
Hey, getting back to Betsy Kling and Holly Strano.
Yeah.
Now, is it my imagination or was Holly Strano Holly Giangreco?
Yeah.
And now she's Holly Strano again.
Yeah, she got divorced.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we don't want to talk about anybody's personal life. I'm sure she's a great gal. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that.
No, I just wondered about that.
Her and her husband were both working long hours, I'm sure. So, well, that's the whole thing. I used to love Melissa Mack on Channel 8, right? I used to think she was awesome. Okay?
And the same thing happened to her, right?
Yeah, she got married, and then she went to the East Coast, and then, like, Melissa's back. But because she was married, they're all like, oh, we don't care. You know what I mean? And other than Melissa Mack, I can't name any of the weather girls on Fox 8. But it doesn't matter because they run their antennas off of VHF signal, right? So screw them. I don't get to watch it. And Dick Goddard's gone. Dick Goddard's rotting in a home somewhere. So, why am I watching Fox 8 if I can't watch Dick Goddard? Poor guy. I mean, he's alive. Yeah. And I felt so bad. Did we talk about this on Beacon of Speech? I like
Dick Goddard.
Did we talk about this on Beacon of Speech? Dick Goddard, did you watch the last episode?
No.
Okay. Dick Goddard's local weatherman on Fox 8, right? Mm-hmm. And they have the American Meteorological Seal, whatever it's called, right? And since the beginning of time, Weatherman 1 in 1953, right? All the way to today. So like Holly Strano or Holly Giangreco or whatever hell her name is, she's got like seal number 4,000, right? And Dick Goddard was like seal number 8, right? So he got his seal like in the late 50s, and he was on the air for what, 60 years, 50 years? Yeah. And on his last show, they kind of did, it was kind of like, it reminded me a little bit of Chicago. When Dick Goddard was in his prime or when he was young, he worked with a lot of people. Well, when he ended his career, it was like, we love Dick, right? And then it was all of his coworkers from now, and all of the ones from in his heyday, very few of them were still around, right? Either age or contract situations, right? Well, where was Robin Swoboda, right?
Oh, she wasn't there?
No. If she was, I don't remember seeing her.
Okay? And I think she really liked him.
Yeah, and Casey Coleman died.
Yeah.
right? But it
Well, he
seemed
has
like
a legitimate excuse for
yeah,
it.
yeah, he had an excuse. But I remember Bill Martin sitting next to Dick Goddard, and I remember Lou Maglio sitting next to him, and I remember all these people who are on the news now, but they didn't have like Mark Kuntz from like 20 years ago.
Oh God, I remember him.
Well, he died.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow,
I just
didn't know
read
that.
about
How
his
did he die?
obituary. Oh, I have no idea. Probably hard living.
Wow, I remember it. That's weird.
I don't know. I don't know if he died of hard living.
No, it's weird that you brought him up because that's somebody I haven't thought about in years.
Right, but that's the whole thing. They didn't bring back the band. They said, well, how can we honor Dick Goddard in the easiest way possible for the corporation? We're not going to pull all these people who are angry during their contract negotiations. We're only going to keep the people who are... And don't get me wrong, they had, like, I think they brought back Tim Taylor, right?
Yeah, I remember him.
But Tim Taylor didn't have a argumentative contract negotiation. He just retired.
Yeah.
Right? So Tim Taylor's back. And, they pulled him off the golf course. But, so why watch Fox 8 if there's no Dick Goddard, no, I don't need to see Melissa Mack, and they don't have the VHF antennas. So, see, we just killed 5 minutes of total worthless air. See, and then we wonder why nobody watches. See, that's what happens when I do an outline, literally, like I had it in my head. And I'm like, we're going to do this outline, and we're only going to do a short thing today. So,
and it all started because of Betsy Kling.
All because of Betsy Kling and the ice storm.
Yeah.
And that's why we had to move it from, because originally we were going to do it Friday, then we moved it to Thursday, and here we are. And again, it's not that I'm not prepared, it's because sometimes I have a 2-page outline, and some days I have 3 words, right? While we're talking about NFL, grab that red thing over there.
What, this thing?
Yeah. What day is today?
The 11th?
June 11th?
January?
See, I need a computer to tell me what month it is. I remember for about the year 2004 to about the year 2008, I didn't know what year it was for some reason. I couldn't remember what year it was for years on end. I do better knowing what year it is now than when I was younger.
I wonder why that was.
I don't know. Brain damage?
Brain damage?
We got a calendar in sports history. I don't even know what this came from. Right? This came from me, but I don't know what it was. On this date, on Thursday, January 11th, 2018, that's today. What happened? What do you think they said happened in history on January 11th?
Would it have to be, is it football, or could it be
This
anything?
is all sports. What I'm going to do is give you the date and see if you can guess it. I thought it was NFL, but it's all sports.
Wait a minute. Thursday, January 11th?
January 11th, 1976. January 11th, 1976. What do you think happened in the world of sports that would be noteworthy?
January 11th.
42 years later.
Could it be something from the Winter Olympics?
No. I'm going to read it to you. This is from the Page a Day calendar. Okay. The Philadelphia Flyers. Yeah. Now you're mad.
I would have never.
You would have never got that. Defeated the Soviet Army team 4-1 in an exhibition game at the Spectrum in Philadelphia that is nearly forfeited by the Russians. The Russians threatened to leave the ice during the first period because of the rough tactics of the Flyers.
Pussies.
Yeah, who became known as the Broad Street Bullies after their physical play while winning the Stanley Cup in 74 and 75, right? The Russians refused to warm up until anti-Soviet signs hanging from the arena were removed. In a dominating performance, Philadelphia outshoots the Soviets 49-13. It is the final game of 8 between the NHL teams and 2 touring Soviet teams. The NHL won 2, lost 5, and tied 1. I would have never got that either. Okay? But I do vaguely remembering the Russians playing the Flyers and them being pissed. But I didn't know that was that day 42 years ago. See, I got another fold in my brain. And you know what's going to happen when I drive away today? That fold's going to fall right out of my brain. Okay? Let's see if we got one more. We'll go back one day.
Yeah, I like doing this.
Okay, you don't care about hockey. You won't get that. That's okay. On this date, we'll go specifically to NFL, and this will be our last thing for Beacon of Speech, and then we'll tie it up. This would have been on January 8th, 2011. So this would be 3 days ago in 2011. What happened on January 8th, 2011 in the NFL?
January 8th, 2011.
In the NFL.
Boy. Well, it had to be a playoff game.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Is it something to do with the Patriots?
No. The Seahawks slipped past the Saints 41-36 in the wild card round of the playoffs.
Wow.
Why is that historically significant? It was specifically significant that the Seahawks won.
Well, I don't know.
The Seahawks had won the NFC West with a
7-9
record.
Oh,
Remember?
that was wow.
That was 2011, and there was a big deal because they're like, do we need to change the playoff format because the Seahawks got in?
Now, was that right before Russell Wilson got there?
I think so. The
Seahawks. He was 2012, I think.
Yeah, the Seahawks won the NFC West with a 7-9 record, while the Saints were second in the NFC South at 11-5. Seattle trails 17-7 in the second quarter, but surges ahead 34-20 at the close of the third as quarterback.
Wait a minute! Don't tell me Hasselbeck.
Hasselbeck, very good. I was going to say not Russell Wilson.
Right. Okay.
Leads the way with the third of his 4 touchdown passes, which you are exactly right, Matt Hasselbeck. New Orleans closes the gap to 34-30, but Seattle stretches the lead to 11 when running back Marshawn Lynch breaks 6 tackles on the way to an electrifying 67-yard TD run.
Wow, he's actually been around a while.
Oh, he's been around forever. So I'm going to rip those off. I'm going to put this up here.
That's great.
Yeah. So you like this? So maybe we'll do this for a couple of months and see how that goes. So we did 2 of them. One was the Russians. I know you don't care about hockey, but I did remember the Seahawks winning the division 7-9, but I don't remember what happened, and I did not remember that Matt Hasselbeck was the quarterback.
Yeah.
So if you want to read through those, and then we'll leave that for next week.
Now, you know who Elizabeth Hasselbeck is?
Yeah.
Now, she's married to Matt Hasselbeck's brother?
Yes.
Okay.
There's 2 Hasselbecks who are quarterbacks. Matt Hasselbeck was a good quarterback. His brother kind of sucked.
But he was in the NFL?
But he was in the NFL, yes.
What was his name?
Oh, I don't remember. Hasselbeck. Okay, we're leaving.
Is it Chris?
You could name a bunch of names. I don't know.
Is it Betsy?
Betsy Hasselbeck, Guido Hasselbeck. Song of the day, I'm calling it The Pretender by the Foo Fighters. I love that song. I think that's better
Can we do a dual song of the day?
Yeah.
Because I got something that's
Okay, go ahead. I'm doing The Pretender by the Foo Fighters. You're doing...
Did you ever hear of a song by Randy Neuman called It's Money That Matters?
No, I hate Randy Neumann.
But I think it's appropriate for the way this country is.
Money That Matters is the song of the day by Ted Coley. I picked The Pretender by the Foo Fighters.
I thought you were going to pick The Pretender by Jackson Brown.
No, Jack. Don't get me started because we're done. You know the whole Me Too movement, and Jackson Brown was a big P-U-S-S-Y singing, and that's another guy. Didn't he? That guy was a bad boy. For all the horrible songs he sang, we're going to stop there.